You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. Though it might not feel like it, spring is, officially speaking, hours away as the sun is set to cross the celestial equator later this afternoon. Tomorrow, on the first full day of spring, the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra celebrates all things budding and new in Equinox, a concert featuring seven composers at WAG Qaumajuq's Muriel Richardson Auditorium. Three of those composers have joined me this last winter's morning: Carrie Harper, Chris Wozniak, and Chris Byman. Hello, all.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Carrie, three of your pieces are going to premiere tomorrow in the Equinox concert. How are you feeling about sharing these new compositions with the world?
Oh, really excited. It's something new to do. Like, I've never done compositions this way, like being performed by a real orchestra, chamber orchestra, and like everything I do is usually all digital and like library based. So it's gonna be like really neat to hear the the musicians play all my compositions. It's gonna be neat to hear. Yeah.
Really neat to hear, and you know, this is a change for you in terms of how you present your music. There's always something special about a world premiere, but made all the more special, I think, almost magnified by this being the spring season. Can we talk more about how the natural world makes its way into your music? I know you've kind of talked about this before, but the ways that you really discovered music, and I use that word intentionally because you'd go out, right, with a field recorder. Can you talk more about that in your early days discovering music?
Well, I was influenced by a lot of electronic musicians, and like the way they recorded was very Foley based, and I think that's where that idea came from. Like, I was watching all these electronic producers like record these sounds and like out in the field and everything, and I thought, oh, like that looks fun. Like, I could probably do something like that, similar but with my own twist to it. So yeah, like I got a microphone. Like, it wasn't that expensive either. It was only like $100. Like, that's all you really need to record decent Foley stuff. And then that's how it all started. Like, just recording samples, and then it took a while for it to like mesh together, like what I was trying to create. But over time, it really like came together. Yeah.
So you grew up in the northern Manitoba community of St. Teresa's Point. Can you talk about how that Foley art that you started with manifests itself in your music, and then how it's realized in these Manitoba Chamber Orchestra performances that are coming up tomorrow? Like, to go from this recorded world to this electronic world to now this live chamber music setting. What are audiences going to hear tomorrow?
Well, they're going to hear a lot of bleeps and bloops. Yeah, and like Foley recordings, like a lot of electronic mixed with the orchestra. It's like a really I think it's really meshed well, like with recorded audio and things like that. It's like I really wanted to do something unique for the MCO, and I knew that MCO like doesn't really work with too many electronic artists, and I just wanted to try something unique for this concert. Like,
so I mean, it's definitely a new opportunity, not only for you as a composer, but for Manitoba Chamber Orchestra players, because again, like you say, kind of branching out from their more usual repertoire of live performances. I want to get more into the three pieces that are going to be premiered tomorrow just a little bit later, but first, let me welcome Chris to the mic, and I should clarify because we have a couple Chris's joining the Carrie in studio. So Chris Wozniak, you too have a premiere on the program, Kazemi, Dance of Renewal in the Heart of Divine Ecstasy. An evocative and vernal title. Can you tell us more, Chris?
Yes. Well, I'll try to explain as much as I can with this sexy voice I've got going on. So I based the piece off of a planetary arrangement in ancient astrology called Kazemi. And this is a very powerful placement where a planet is very, very close, 17 minutes or less around the sun. And it's said to be renewed by the sun. So any qualities that a planet is said to have kind of washes away for that time and gets like a surge of energy from the sun. And the kind of subtitle a dance of renewal in the heart of divine ecstasy. It imagines this celebratory dance, somewhat rave-like,
Yeah.
where, there's this imagined scene of everyone coming together and just celebrating and becoming renewed.
Yeah, and here we are with the Equinox just around the corner. Is there something programmatic in this work? Like, is it very clear in terms of the music that you've created, in terms of what's being translated to the audience, or is the title just a sort of a starting point, or is it kind of more programmatic that way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say there's some programmatic intention behind it. Not so much that there's a storyline like you would find in like an opera per se, but there is this repetitive trance-like sense of this rave kind of element taking place. So in that sense, the title actually came after, or like at the end of the process. And I've kind of taken my grips off of needing to know what things mean so much as I'm going, and I'm trying more and more to just let go and kind of surrender to the process.
Yeah. You're a Des Hôtels Faculty of Music grad who's had music performed by the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, C String Collective, done installations as part of Cluster Festival, and more. I'm curious, can you tell us more about what it's been like working with the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra?
Yeah, I mean, to be candid, I haven't worked with them yet.
Exactly. That's right. This is set to happen. It's a world premiere. So it is a, yeah, that's well put. You haven't worked with them yet. So then let me ask you this. What have you prepared for them? What is the arrangement going to be of this work?
Yeah. So it was, well, I will say first and foremost, I've been, working with, as in communications with Vicki Young from the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra, and she gave a lot of options in terms of kind of subsets that we could use. And so I've scored this for string quartet and clarinet.
Ooh, fun combo.
Yeah. So I wanted to write a piece where the string quartet in general is working kind of as a like motor. So keeping the same kind of trance quality, and the clarinet is adding I suppose like embellishments here and there just to kind of add drama. So I have yet to hear it. It's one thing to hear a MIDI recording, but got to be careful about the accuracy of that. So I'm really excited, looking forward to hearing it. And I just wanted to mention that the concert is 2 days away.
Yeah.
It's on Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. I'm losing track of time. I'm losing track of time over here. But yes, anyway, you're right. So yeah, I'm losing track of time. I'm just too excited about all of these premieres that are going to be happening. So we have, between the two of you, there's 4 premieres, new works. And speaking of clarinet and composers, we're going to swing the mic over to our second Chris here in the studio. Chris Byman, as I mentioned, you're a clarinetist, a composer, a clinician. This is not going to be a world premiere.
Nope.
But can you tell us about the field? When and for whom did you compose this piece?
Yeah, so I wrote this piece in 2013, 2014, and it was for the August Fest Homecoming series that was taking place at the Brandon University School of Music. So it was part of their summer program. And so I wanted to really write something that reflected my own homecoming and what's special about me, always going back to my home. So I grew up just outside of Winnipeg and northeast about 10 minutes. And my parents lived in the bush, and behind the bush there was this wonderful lush field that I would always kind of go out to and explore on my own. So I wrote this piece kind of in memory of that and the power of that feeling of going home. And it's also for my parents, and as well as an anniversary present for them. That was 10 years ago. It was their 35th. So now this past year they celebrated 45 years of marriage. So yeah, it was also kind of about that hippie vibe of love too. So, yeah.
Do you know, are they going to be in the audience on Wednesday? I should clarify. Thank you, Chris.
Wednesday. No, they are in Vancouver visiting their grandbabies there. So they're they're there, but they will be there in spirit, I'm sure.
They'll be there in spirit, and the other thing, too, is the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra does such a good job with virtual shows as well, right? I mean, the recorded concerts are absolutely stellar with all sorts of angles and different things to play off of. So I'm hoping they'll have the opportunity to hear it again.
Me too.
A beautiful story behind that work. How would you characterize the music that you've written?
Yeah, so that's the other half of it too. In my grad studies at Brandon, my clarinet studies, I was also taking some conducting lessons. And in that course, I chose Appalachian Spring.
Oh, a little bit of Copeland.
A little bit of Copeland to do some study on. And I just absolutely fell in love with it and the intimacy of the original instrumentation of it, the pared down stuff. So I really loved that. And then his musical language being so open, I thought, wow, this is going to work just perfectly if I kind of try and emulate this as much as I can. And was still trying to find my own voice, right? That was the hard thing 10 years ago, being a new composer, trying to find that. So that kind of helped. So it's in that style, that language a little bit. And then I also used a little lame, but the coordinates of the field as my main melodic inspiration, kind of jumping around.
Like the GPS coordinates?
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, what a cool starting point that is.
Yeah, it just kind of seemed to work and feel good. And then, yeah, just went from there.
So one last question for you, Chris. How does it feel to be on a program with so many other talented composers like Chris and Carrie who've joined you here? I mean, 7 composers on a program is a pretty special thing.
It's unreal. I'm a huge supporter of supporting local composers and music. It wasn't phrased very well.
Hey, but the sentiment's there. We get what you're saying.
It's there. And,
yeah.
you know, we're alive. We're here. We're living. All we have is now. And I think it's so great that we're all here and we're making music together with them. And it's local, right? It's homegrown. We have roots here, which is just so important and lovely. So, and it's an honor always to share the room and stage with composers like yourselves. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your works.
So we're going to swing the mic back to Carrie for one last question, because I want to ask you about these 3 MCO commissions. It's one thing to have 1 commission, 2, and 3, but this is pretty special in that we get to hear Blue Fractals, Circadian Sleepers, and Fractals 2. Are these works connected or intertwined in any way, or are they standalone pieces?
Well, Circadian Sleeper is kind of a standalone piece because, like, I wrote that one like way back, maybe in 2017, or it was in like a documentary, and so I wanted to like pick a song that was played a lot and was played a lot on CBC too. So, like, I really wanted to play something that was like already played, yeah, and. With Blue Fractals, those are connected in a way. Like, I tried to get them connected as much as I could. Like, it was kind of hard because, like, when you're composing, like, you got to do like movement. Like, there's first movement and the second movement, and like I'm very new to that. Like, I tried my best to get them like related as possible, and yeah.
But at the same time, being true to yourself, right? I mean, like, there's that sort of that structure that exists, and I mean, like, it is a standing point, but it's almost like a springboard for you to get to however you're going to realize that, right? Because you don't necessarily have to follow that prescribed structure, especially as a self-taught composer. That's got to open up some new and fresh possibilities that wouldn't otherwise be there for people who've gone through that institutional route, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I think that institutional route is pretty good. Like, it's like, I would consider going that way. Like, it would help. But yeah, I see what you mean by, like, it's like kind of you're in your own ground and like
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that opens up all sorts of possibilities, right? Like that's almost a nice thing, I would imagine. Well, really excited for, where you are now, excited to see where you all go in the future, and what an opportunity to check out the show on Wednesday, 2 shows, and the first of which at 1 p.m. is already sold out. So big congrats on that. Winnipeggers, big supporters of supporting local, I think is the way that Chris put it. So I'm going to use that now too. Guest music director Larry Strawn. There is a 7:30 evening concert, again taking place at WAG Qaumajuq. 7 composers on the program, including music of Nari Soul, whose writing we're going to hear to close out this chat. Carrie, Chris, thanks all for being here this morning.
Yeah, it was good.
Thanks for having us.
Great seeing you.